We are live, youtube.com, new Sprint Ride Option Podcast. I am your host, Andrew Pasquini, joined as always by Jason Aponte. And we have a man so nice. He's been on the show thrice. He is the host producer of the Hawkeyes podcast. He is a staff contributor at Field Goals and SB Nation website. Third time this season, Bryce Coutts. Bryce, how you doing on this Friday?
Oh, I'm doing good, guys. It's one day. We're less than 24 hours, getting pretty close to it now. Basically kickoff at this time tomorrow. It's exciting, man. It's here.
Let me ask you a question.
Exciting. Good. I'll let you start, Jason.
Let me ask you a question. Well, first of all, we roped you into thinking that we're going to be talking 49ers Seahawks. We're going to be talking about A$AP Rocky's new album, Don't Be Dumb. I hope you listened and you're able to give insight into why it might be one of his better projects. And also, I think the way that I really want to start this is this, Andrew had a good tweet about, trilogies and everything. What trilogies have really stuck the landing with the third one? Movie trilogies, right? Like have really stuck the landing, right? Godfather 3 was awful. I'm not a big fan of Return of the Jedi. I think that's the worst one of the three. We don't acknowledge the other ones. Although Revenge of the Sith is probably the better one, right? Lord of the Rings is probably one that has 3 straight, bangers. So maybe I'll give it that one. Spider-Man 3 was bad. There's so many trilogies that we can go through that we're just like, damn, and then you really can't count Avengers because that's 4, right? And now there's 5 that's coming, so that one doesn't count. Really weird to think about like the trilogies and how hard it is to actually land. Jurassic Park 3 was bad. Every time you think of the third movie, usually it just doesn't land. So I'll start with you, Bryce, and then Andrew, you can come up with other trilogies that you think maybe have stuck the landing. Lord of the Rings is the only one that I could think of off the top of my head.
Oh, that's a really good one. Yeah, like Return of the Jedi, it had a hard path to follow after Empire Strikes Back. Like that was hard. Like Empire Strikes Back to me is still the elite Star Wars movie of all time.
Correct. Keep going. Good takes. Keep going.
Now here's my thing. I felt again another movie that I didn't think was bad, but just couldn't follow up the sequel was The Dark Knight Rises. It couldn't follow up.
Another one. Yep.
And it wasn't bad. It just couldn't lead up and follow what the sequel had done. So, oh man, now here's one. I'll throw this one out. Indiana Jones and what is it? The
Last Crusade, the one with Sean Connery.
Yes, Last Crusade.
That's not bad. That one's not bad.
Yeah, that one wasn't bad with Sean Connery, so I'll go with that. Would probably be the one because it's hard, man. Like if you have the problem is when you've got a sequel that is so good, to follow it up is almost an impossible task. And I don't know, man. Those are the ones that kind of come to mind for me. Like you mentioned Lord of the Rings already. Yeah, man, I can't really think of another one. What about you, Andrew?
All right, listen, I'm not the movie guy. The first one that came to my mind was Toy Story. But
all right,
fourth movie that has a 4th movie now.
That does have a 4th movie.
I don't acknowledge the 4th or the 5th movie that's coming out soon.
The third one's perfect.
Third one was the perfect one to end on. Could have just stopped it there. Money, cash over everything. Apparently, Disney and their money. Am I right? Got my money for YouTube TV and all that.
Quentin Tarantino. When Quentin Tarantino calls a movie the perfect movie, and he hates everything. Like he literally hates the guy from There Will Be Blood, and that movie's incredible. That is a perfect movie, Toy Story 3. You're absolutely right. Great call.
That's all I had. The other one I can think of was probably what was the year the Niners beat the Seahawks in the wild card round? That was 2021, 22?
2019.
Yeah, whatever year it was. Yeah, that one. I like that one personally.
No,
22.
The wild card was 2022.
2022.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Purdy. So that's the one I like. I'm sure Bryce has a different one that we don't really need to discuss. Let's talk about the game on Saturday now, Jason. There was no other Niners Seahawks playoff game other than the one last year and tomorrow. And this is where I want to start with this conversation because it's kind of a unique situation, more unique for the Seahawks than it is the 49ers. These two teams played each other 13 days ago. By the time they kick off tomorrow, it'll be 14 days. It's more unique for Seattle, though, because Seattle, their last 2 games will come against the San Francisco 49ers. And we all know what happened in week 18 when the 49ers lost 13-3 to the Seattle Seahawks. And I'm two-way question here. I'm going to ask Bryce his version of the question. I'm going to ask Jason his version of the question. I, for some reason, feel more confident going into tomorrow than I ever did about week 18. Don't know why. Can't explain it. So, Bryce, I'm going to start with you, the Seahawks side of it. Are you more confident, less confident, or about equal to how you felt 24 hours before the 49ers Seahawks week 18 matchup?
I'm probably about equal for me.
Okay.
I'm not feeling confident. I'm not feeling or overconfident. I'm not also feeling like worried or scared. I'm just kind of equal on it. And I think part of that is because mainly to do with health of the Seahawks. Like, I get Sam Darnold came up and everyone's having their own takes on what's going on with Sam Darnold. But for me, it's the fact that we are the healthier team right now. We're playing on more rest. And you know what? I expect the game on tomorrow to maybe not start the way Seahawks fans want it to. I expect your Niners to come out and maybe be leading at halftime. But that's kind of where I take it at that point. And I think from there, the game and the injuries may catch up to the Niners. But I'm kind of equal at this point. I haven't changed where I feel I am on the game yet.
And then, Jason, for you, more, less, equal confident than you were 2 weeks ago, the Niners angle of it?
More just because the 49ers can't, score 3 points again. Ricky Pearsall's probably going to play. I've talked myself into the idea that Kyle Juszczyk is going to have himself a very big game. Use some film clips. Thank you, NFL. So maybe I should knock on wood. Thank you, NFL, for not demonetizing the video yesterday. I don't know what. Maybe I took some good advice from Bryce. I showed the stock rail clip from the 2019 game in which it was right after Seattle scored and the 49ers needed an explosive play. I kind of compared that offense a little bit more to this offense. There was Emmanuel Sanders and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, Raheem Mostert, but they weren't as explosive, right? And I think that's kind of what we're looking at right now with this offense. And they needed a play, and they split Juice out wide, and he ran that stutter rail, and he ran it up the sideline, and boom, you get yourself a big gain off of that. And then I showed the other ways that they can use to get him open, but it ended up with Jimmy Garoppolo airmailing the passes, so it pissed some people off to go back to that. But yeah, I feel a lot better about it. D. Winters is going to play. Trent Williams is playing in this game. Eric Kendricks makes me feel a lot better. If Marcus Siegel can continue to play, all those things work. But I think Ricky Pearsall, and Kyle Juszczyk change the dynamic a little bit of this game, and it's going to be hard for the 49ers to have as bad of an offensive output as they did the first time.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And also big Trent Williams, he'll be playing. He wasn't playing in week 18. That obviously helps. And not Austin Pleasance, which respect to him. We saw another Niner, Garrett Wallow, make a big moments in his one game. So not going to slander Austin Pleasance. It's good to have Trent Williams back. Obviously the big story here, Bryce entering it. And I don't think it's too big of a story at this point. Sam Darnold, the oblique injury, limited in practice yesterday. He's playing. I mainly just wanted to ask a joke question, questionable. The Seahawks I've seen the word confident and optimistic that he is playing. Are you more confident or optimistic that Sam Darnold is playing tomorrow?
He's playing tomorrow. He's not going to miss the game. Like, it's not even a confident, optimistic question. He's not missing the game. Like, the thing that I laughed at today was when I saw some people out there in the social media world going like, oh, he's scared and he's already trying to make excuses. It's like, no, the guy probably legitimately pulled something. It happens. I was going to say Niner fans know that for a fact. It happens a lot with you guys in practice and such. And
I just woke up one day and hurt. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I will say this. What made me know that he was playing, if a guy is seriously injured enough that they are questioning whether or not he is going to be on the field, he is not available to the media right after the practice. Especially when they announce that he's out and then he comes back, like, you're not playing. We're not putting you out there. We're not going to have you answer a bunch of questions. To me, he's probably got like a grade 1, maybe a grade 2 sprain or strain, whatever you want to call it. And the thing for me is it's probably going to limit some of what he can do, but it's not going to be like, oh, Sam Darnold can't throw 50 yards down the field. It's going to be like, oh, he doesn't have the exact zip on this ball 7 out of 10 times. Maybe it's 6 now. That's kind of what it is.
The best show on ESPN is the one that they bury at 3 a.m. Eastern time called NFL Matchup. And Greg Cosell and Darius Butler, they do such a great job showing the X's and O's. And they showed one play in which Darnold, right, and the way that you kind of condensed your splits outside and you brought the 49ers showed too high, but they're in base and they pre-snap, they move to single high, which turns to man, which means, Jair Brown is down on your fullback, and how Darnold was able to throw the football from the other hash against Malik Mustafa while to JSN while he's going that way. Just a beautiful throw and everything as well too. And he even said, in that game, yeah, they only scored 13 points, but it wasn't necessary for Darnold to be throwing the football over and over. And this is what we were talking about. If it's another game where Darnold is throwing the ball 24 times, that's bad news for the San Francisco 49ers, because that just means you're moving the football. Either you're moving the football and you're scoring on explosive plays that are quick on touchdowns, throws, or you're just methodically running the football again, right? So you've got to get Darnold into that 30-35 throw range, because if you want him to see ghosts, if you want him to turn the football over, you have to make him throw the football in high leverage situations, which he didn't have in week 18. Will he? We don't know. But the only way we will find out is if the 49ers can stop the run on first and second down, because you can't just keep him comfortable. And if he's comfortable and he doesn't have these high leverage situations, how on earth is he going to see ghosts? When is he going to start throwing, interceptions? And I thought it was kind of funny. Somebody said, everybody's kind of speculating about Darnold and whether he's going to play. I think we all know he's going to play. And somebody said, oh no, Darnold's out. The 49ers are going to have to face a real quarterback, talking about Drew Lock. And I'm just like, man, 49er fans are pretty funny right now. Like, I wouldn't be making jokes right now about anything like that, especially knowing that Darnold will play. But yeah, that's got to be the key. I mean, you can't, if you're one of those people, and what did I say on your show, Bryce? If you're one of those people that is on hopium copium, right, that Darnold is going to turn into a pumpkin, how is he going to turn into a pumpkin if you have him throwing the football 24 times and he's throwing it on 3rd and 2 and the running game's working and it's play action? Like, you've got to get him in straight drop back moments, and you've got to get him in longer down and distances if you hope to see that version of him, if that version even still exists. So it really more is just about that. And if the 49ers don't stop the run, then you don't have a chance for Darnold to make those mistakes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And this is where I think for him and Kubiak in a lot of ways is to your point, Jason, you got to get him in 3rd and long, because Kubiak to me does not design a good drop back game. It's been proven this year that they are struggle points, like especially when the first read isn't there, the progressions off of it are not great. And yeah, shut down the run on 1st and 2nd down, and you start to make Seattle's offense sweat. But the question is now doing that, especially like when we talked on my show yesterday about what Clint Kubiak decided to show in week 18, which drove you absolutely nuts, which was, hey, we're going to take a little bit of what Sean McVay does and Kyle's been doing, and we're just going to crank it up a little bit and do it on almost every single one of our run plays to create a leverage advantage or a blocking advantage at some point with the motion.
I hate it. And what he's talking about is on the 32 design runs, they had 20 that involved motion. And that's when the EPA on those runs drove up. And it wasn't a matter of the 49ers not knowing where to go or the motion distracting. It's you're getting a blocker who's getting a head start moving in that direction, and or even for instance, you're showing the motion in one direction and you're running it the other way, because usually that's a telltale sign. The other 10 runs that they had, if it was 32 and they had 20, yeah, so math is not my forte. 12 other design runs, the EPA was negative on those, just straight runs. So and that's a new wrinkle from week 18. I just don't like it. Like, what the hell's your problem, Kubiak? Like what are you doing out there, man? So yeah, like that's the thing. But I do think that Saleh and the defense will be ready for those things. But that's what really started to catch the 49ers off guard in week 18 was how well they were able to run the football off motion, how they were using it off misdirection, how they were using it to gain leverage, like you said, get a blocker with a head of steam. And the 49ers, you hadn't been putting that on tape. That was something that you threw out there in week 18, kind of holding on to. So what the hell is he holding on to now, man? And what the hell are you guys gonna run out there on Saturday, Kubiak? I don't like it, man. You're auditioning for a head coaching job and you're being smart. This shit's stupid. Stop doing that.
Hey, who knows? Maybe he's gonna unleash Shaheed on you guys this weekend.
Don't tease me with a good time. No, listen. I like where you guys took that. I like where you took it with the run game, because that was kind of my next point. I don't necessarily think it matters whether it's Darnold or Drew Lock, even though it is going to be Darnold.
One rap's better.
That's very true. That is very true. Jason, bonus point there. I like that.
Yeah.
But it really comes down to Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. And you saw in week 1, Seattle combined for their third fewest yardage in the rushing game against the Niners. Offense didn't feel really great against the Niners in week 1. In week 18, 180 rushing yards. Charbonnet and Walker just at will. Obviously, the back-breaking 3rd and 17 play is the best example of that. And obviously, they scored 13 points in both the games. But Bryce, a big part of what me and Jason talked about in the post game of that week 18 game was the Niners were very lucky to only lose that game 13-3. It could have easily been 24, 27-3, whatever it may be. And you kind of gave it a little bit there. Do you think Walker and Charbonnet can do it again, second time in 3 weeks against this Niners defense? And do you think there's going to be any little adjustments here and there in between how they do it compared to a couple weeks ago?
So the one thing I'll say, watching that film back in week 18, and obviously there will be adjustments, was how bad you guys were at defending the outside zone. You really struggled, and especially built in the wide 9. There are so many backside creases to it. And I will say this, I expect this to be more of a Kenneth Walker game again, because I think the one thing Kubiak is figuring out, and like Jason pointed out, he's auditioning, so he's trying to be smart, getting him involved in the pass game on the swings, but then also allowing him to do what he does well, which is get to the edge of these defenses and then put his foot in the ground and get north-south. Like, Ken Walker, out of backs that have had 200 touches this year, is number 2 for forced missed tackle rate. That means he is great at creating opportunities for himself where he makes guys miss. The guy ahead of him, Bijan Robinson, who was basically the best back in the NFL, and the guy below him is Jonathan Taylor. That is where Kenneth Walker is sandwiched in between right now. And that's where I start to look at it and go, okay, if you've got that type of back who can do those things, and then you've got the battering ram that is Zach Charbonnet, you kind of got the thing where, okay, if the Niners start taking away that, whether it's loading the box or bringing down a guy on the edge, whatever it is, and trying to guess right, then all of a sudden you start turning into a duo team and running it down the middle of the field with Zach Charbonnet to exactly what they did in week 18. It's a hard thing to do now that Kubiak seems to have figured out. And the other key to this is Robbie Ouzts. They're finally figuring out how to use that big fullback that they drafted, which everyone looked at and went, why did you draft a tight end / fullback in the 5th round of the NFL draft? Well, again, this offense demands it. You want to be a running team. And you guys know that better than anybody, because you have had basically one of the best fullbacks in the NFL for the last 10 years in Kyle Juszczyk. When you have a guy that can do certain things like that and can motion and get to his blocks, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and that's where I think the linebackers come into play, right? 18 missed tackles is atrocious, right? You're not going to beat anybody, let alone, the team vying for the number 1 seed. Eric Kendricks is steady, and D Winters is back as well too. Look, shout out to what's his nickname?
We talking GW unit? Yeah,
I love that nickname, man. I love it, man. You can't give yourself a nickname, but Garawala was great, off of the Denver practice squad. Now again, Bryce, and Andrew, the Eagles run offense is very unimaginative. It's literally just Saquon Barkley run up the middle, but CJ West was really good in this game. When you start to clean up the tackles and you're limiting that, I just don't see the 49ers having 18 missed tackles again. And that's something that I'm not even really jumping out the window with a bold prediction saying that they won't have that many missed tackles, but I just think they're going to be a lot more disciplined in the gap. They've seen what you put on tape I think they're far more prepared for this, and it's almost a good thing that this game is happening so quickly, and you didn't have another game, right? Because all we can go off of is what happened in week 18. And yes, you're absolutely well rested. This is what the 49ers wanted, was to be this rested. But it's almost good that you didn't have another game, because the only reference point now that we have of these new things that you've put on tape is week 18. Unless there's something else that you've got up your sleeve that the 49ers haven't seen, which now that I'm talking about it is kind of pissing me off already. It will be a little bit more even, close, and I expect the run defense to play better. Unless you start making stuff up and you start doing things that we haven't seen yet. I do think the 49ers can properly attack it, and it starts with the missed tackles.
When I look at this game, guys, I look at it and I agree it's going to be a closer game. It's going to be a game, though, that comes down to how long can the Niners, in my opinion, the Niners withstand the duration of the game with the lack of depth that is there now in a lot of key positions, right? We're not talking like, oh, it's just Fred Warner missing, but you've got Nick Bosa and you've got George Kittle. We're talking about like basically three of the most iconic players in 49er history in the last 10 years, 15 years are all on IR. And I get they're probably going to be there. They're going to be there with their team, but it's different than having them on the field. And all three of those guys, one thing they all are tone setters. Fred Warner in the playoff game in 2022 basically makes DK Metcalf lose his mind in that game because he just gets under DK's skin, which isn't that hard, but he does.
Really isn't.
You look at Bosa week 1 this year. Bosa wins the game with his bull rush of taking Abe Lucas and putting him in Sam Darnold's lap. All pro play, Hall of Fame level play. George Kittle has been a nightmare for us in Seattle, like literally a nightmare for Seattle defenses ever since he's come into the league and figured out how to be used. All three of those guys aren't there. And like, I get there's guys behind them, but they're not the same guys. And that's the thing for me where I said, like, that's why I think the 49ers may lead this game at halftime by, 3 points. It may be 13-10 Niners going into halftime, but it's coming out is how much juice is left in the team as a whole. And I don't just mean Kyle Juszczyk in that situation.
I like you mentioned Kittle there because that was a question I had. I'm going to bump this question up a little bit now, Bryce, just because you mentioned it. Obviously, unfortunate injury. George Kittle, tears his Achilles, out for the rest of the playoffs. However, once the Niners beat the Eagles, did you at least break out into a small cold sweat, remembering that Jake Tonges is returning to Seattle after week 1?
No, because Rick Woolen isn't the same player he was in week 1.
Yeah,
shut down that question real quick.
I'm sorry, but it's true. Like I've been saying this, that when Reek got his concussion, something switched in his head. It's like the wiring in his head got reconnected to what he was doing in his rookie year, because he has played such consistent football since. And he even mentioned on one of the pods he went on that like he was struggling so much between what Pete Carroll had taught him with the footwork and everything to play in their cover 3 scheme to what Mike McDonald was having them be coached up on. And he was in between. Basically, he was stuck in between. So he didn't know what technique to trust. And hence the Ricky Pearsall factor in week 1 and the Jake Tonges factor in week 1. The thing I'll say now is Rick Woolen is playing like one of the top corners in football. And you also have and this is the reason why I'm not so worried about the Reek matchup there, Andrew, is because there's a guy that'll probably be covering Tonges from his position in the slot that didn't play in week 1 outside of 4 plays. And that's Nick Eamon-Warry, who we know is Jason's favorite defensive player from this draft class.
Mm-hmm. We're big on Eamon-Warry.
What a dumb move to draft him. All I'm going to say is this,
dumb.
Bryce. All I'm going to say is this, Bryce. Get ready to learn Luke Farrell, pal. The secret weapon. Kyle Shanahan's been he's been waiting to unleash the blocking tight end on you in the receiving game.
I vaguely remember. They called a screen pass to Luke Farrell in the Eagles game.
They sure did.
Oh my God. I tried to forget about that one. Bryce, let me start with my actual first offensive question. I know obviously you're hiding your fear of Jake Tonges. I get it. He's an intimidating guy. But Seattle holds the Niners to 3 points 2 weeks ago, right? That's the lowest point total the Niners have had in the Kyle Shanahan era since his first game. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, just like Jason went with the 18 missed tackles. I am willing to bet the Niners score more than 3 points tomorrow.
Oh, they will.
How concerned are you with the potential adjustments of a Kyle Shanahan offense? And are you concerned that maybe, just maybe, the Niners can put up some points tomorrow? I don't necessarily believe they will, because Seattle's defense is very, very good. And you've seen that the Niners only put up 20 points in the 2 games. But I just feel like there's something about the game being 2 weeks ago that almost tilts it a little bit in Shanahan's advantage. Again, I'm coming from a Niners standpoint. Mike McDonald, I'm sure he has some very good adjustments to the adjustments. That's what this is kind of about, is the adjustments to the adjustments to the adjustments, which is the beautiful thing about football. But how concerned are you that Kyle Shanahan's going to introduce some sort of wrinkle that the Seahawks haven't seen this year yet?
I'm not concerned because, again, the biggest factor in this is George Kittle not being there. If Kittle and Pearsall's coming back, Trent Williams is back, yeah, I'm thinking, okay, Kyle's going to be cooking something. And not that he's not going to be. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But as a coach myself, when you start going to your second and now your third is your second, and you're like literally at that point and you're getting Pearsall back off a knee injury that's not a small one. Like, we're talking about a PCL. I think he had a strain of it or whatever it is. Like, that's not an easy thing, especially for a guy that is very good at running in breaking routes. Me and Jason talked about him running dagger concepts, and that it's not easy to get down into your break and get out when you're kind of thinking, like, is that going to be something that's going to bother me? I feel like it almost limits Kyle in some respects, because I don't have my star tight end out there that demands coverage to him, that opens up space for other guys. Because if Kittle's there, Eamon Warrior's eyes are on him. The safety's eyes are on him. The linebacker's eyes are on George Kittle, which allows Pearsall now and Juwan Jennings to kind of run in behind those areas or in front of them. And you get those vertical layers to the Seattle defense where, again, Brock Purdy can make those throws throughout a game, not like Matthew Stafford, but he can make those throws and make you pay. When you then take George Kittle out of that equation, it now puts all the hyper focus, even though Pearsall's coming back, on Christian McCaffrey. So now Christian McCaffrey has more attention than he needs. I will say this. I expect you guys to put up at least 17 points in this game. I think it's going to happen because Kyle is going to come up with stuff, whether it's trick plays or whatnot. We saw him do it with Juwan Jennings throwing the touchdown pass to McCaffrey. Like, I expect that stuff. I would expect this game to be even closer, though, Andrew, with what could your special teams bring to the equation? Yeah. That's the big thing, too. And I think that's the one part of every game, and we all talk about them, that kind of gets forgotten about, is how key special teams are to field position, to getting points, or to adding explosive and momentum shifting plays. If you guys had the number one special teams and an elite kick returner or punt returner, I'd be going like, yeah, I'm like, this adds something more to this game now because of what Kyle's going to be limited with on offense.
And real quick, Jason,
disrespecting Sky Moore on our show is a little crazy, just in my opinion, especially when he ran back that kick against you guys in preseason.
Really quick too, just before Jason, you make your point, to your Ricky Pearsall point. Matt Barrows wrote for The Athletic yesterday that Pearsall acknowledged his PCL injury issue is sensitive to contact, and that if he goes down hard on the front of his knee again, it could be problematic. So that's just another little wrinkle to the Pearsall injury. If he plays or not, that's another question. But if he does, and I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, football is a pretty physical sport. There's a chance he will hit his knee hard. So like it's something that will linger.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, right? Talking with Doc, and if you guys didn't get a chance to watch the interview that I had with the Doc, man, please do, because we talked about Fred, we talked about Kittle, we talked about Pearsall, and he really, really put to bed the whole idea of like, this is something that Pearsall should just be pushing through, right? Because it's a PCL, it's about stability, it's about being able to run, it's about being able to cut, and his knee can give out at any moment. And this isn't a matter of toughness. If you're frustrated that Ricky Pearsall has just been injured, you can say that. But you're not talking about somebody who should be pushing through something like this. It's not a pain tolerance issue. It's about stability. But he's so vital to what this team is going to need in this game, because Seattle is the defense that Philly thinks they are. And they have the speed, and this is what happened in week 18, and this is what we were talking about, Bryce, on your show. When a team that's bottom of the league in going for it on fourth down, and they go for it on fourth down, and they don't convert. That was my first sign that Mike McDonald said this offense is not going to do anything against this defense, and I'll take my chance because they're not going to go 95 yards down the field on us, and we'll just get the ball back on a punt, and we'll go score. That's exactly what happened. Now, Pearsall, even if he becomes a decoy in this game, even if he's somebody who just even takes another defender from the secondary with him, that's a plus. I want to remind 49er fans of this fact that I've tried to forget. In week 1, Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Russell Gage had over 25 snaps at wide receiver. That's disgusting. Marquez Valdez-Scantling ended his season with the Steelers. Russell Gage is not on an NFL team anymore. But Marquez Valdez-Scantling was running clear-out routes. Ricky Pearsall was getting downfield. If you remember in the game-winning drive, and to Bryce's point, beating Reek Willen for that 45-yard play, that's how you get into range to score the touchdown. But that guy's not walking through the door on Saturday. This defense, and thank God we played them in week 1, didn't have it all together. Same way that you could say that the 49ers offense didn't have it all together, and both things can be true. But that defense in week 1 is not the defense that you saw in week 18. It's not the defense you're going to see on Saturday. But they do need someone who can at least test the defense deep. Otherwise, it'll be very similar. And I taught, and I wrote about this for the people that said Seattle just stacked the box and stopped the run. They never stacked the box. 72.6% light box percentage. Why is that? And they're probably the second best run defense in the NFL besides Houston. Why is that? Because their secondary's fast. They can get downhill. They can defend it from nickel. They can defend it from base. They do not stack the box. That's concerning. When your defense is good enough to stop the run with a nickel on the field, or in base, and you don't even have to creep up your safeties in any way, that's a problem. The only way to back those guys off is to have somebody go down the field. And I'm sorry to say, and I'm happy that he had the game of his life last week, Demarcus Robinson. By the way, he said what I was saying, is I don't want to hear anything more about Quinyon Mitchell because he whipped his ass twice on that first drive, and he was just like, I was getting him. He went on a podcast and he was like, I was getting him. He was right. But that's not going to happen against Seattle. So you need somebody who's going to be able to get down the field, and that's Ricky Pearsall. Whether he catches passes or he's just a decoy, he has to be on the field, and he has to at least draw the attention of Seattle. Otherwise, things get very easy for their defense, and they can just trigger downfield, and they can just do what they want, which is play fast.
Yeah, I like the analysis from both of you there. I'm so curious just to see how this game plays out with it being the third game of the season against each other, all that. I got a question for both of you. Again, Bryce, Seahawks side, Jason, Niners side. We've mentioned the names Darnold, Purdy, McCaffrey, JSN, a bunch of names we've mentioned, but a lot of times in these playoff games, these late January games, it comes down to a player that you don't necessarily expect making the big impact, who makes a big impact. Niner fans will remember Jordan Willis a couple years ago in Green Bay making a big play. So, Bryce, who's that under the radar Seahawks player who you could see making a big impact tomorrow that leads to a Seahawks win?
AJ Barner, our tight end.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is Barner this year, he's got decent stats. Like, he's in the average stat world for tight ends. And I think that's in a large part due to just JSN being so good at the first half of the season. Mm-hmm. But Barner has really turned into receiver 2 for Seattle. I know Cooper Kupp's there. I get Shaheed's there, but Barner really is that guy. He's kind of our third down clutch guy. He blocks. In my opinion, he is becoming one of the better tight ends in the NFL for being a fully rounded tight end. And Elijah Arroyo isn't playing, so that means it's going to be the Barner and Saubert kind of duo at tight end.
But
traitor. AJ Barner, hey, you guys let him go. You wanted Luke, what's his name? Farrell?
Luke Farrell.
Yeah, you wanted Luke Farrell. We just took Eric Saubert off your guys' trash heap. We found a use for him in our system here. But yeah, with AJ Barner, it's he's the kind of guy that he's really good at doing the chip and leak and just being there when Sam needs him to be in 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, and those kind of situations. And I could see AJ Barner a couple of key plays in this game that extend drives for sure.
And then Jason, same question to you: who's an under the radar Niner who you could see making an impact that results in a Niners win?
Kyle Juszczyk. I've been banging the drum all week about this. Whether it's the small throws that keep the 49ers on schedule, keeping them in 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6, like you saw when Kittle went down in that Philadelphia game. But I expect that Kyle's gonna drive. He's gonna draw up some explosives for him as well too. You know, the wide leak that they ran against the Rams in 2020. Yeah, Jimmy missed it, but what you do is you run play action off of that, and it looks like he's coming off of the line to down block, but all he does is just kind of squirrel through the line, and then boom, he's out and he's leaped wide by himself. It just get him the football, and there's nothing but grass in front of him. So I think there's different ways to do it. Obviously, I talked about the stock rail concept that they ran in 2019, but this has to be a game where yes, Christian McCaffrey is your check down, but Kyle Juszczyk has to be your other check down, and I fear that Seattle's not going to be as worried about 44, that they are for 23. So I think you have to kind of play on that, and there's going to be ways for Kyle to get the ball to Kyle and use him in a way to just as an extension of the run game. Okay, 1st and 10. Now we're at 2nd and 5. You feel better, right? You can't get into these 3rd and long. That's not how you're going to win this game. And also, after Seattle throws a punch, you've got to dial up one of these plays, especially if the offense isn't working. You've got to dial up one of these, Kyle Juszczyk out of nowhere, 35-yard gains, right? Like, can 49er fans, I don't want to bring up old wounds, but remember in Tennessee, Kyle Juszczyk's running wide open, and Jimmy Garoppolo throws it into the stands. And then John Lynch likes to tweet about leaving him in Tennessee, and we have a hilarious Christmas, right? But those are the types of plays that are still in the bag. When you have those weapons at your disposal, you don't have to go to them. But Kyle's going to have to empty the bag, and a lot of those plays are going to have to be there. So it has to be Kyle Juszczyk in this one. That's the X factor.
I like it, Jason. Before we get to predictions, and I don't want to make this like a debate, but hey, we'll make it like a debate. Closing statements for both of you. Bryce, I'll start with you as I have the entire episode. The Seattle Seahawks win tomorrow night because, and fill in the blank.
They win tomorrow night because they're healthier. That to me is the real thing. We're talking about a division rival game. They're going to be able to withstand. And to Jason's point, we talked about it yesterday. Like, this is going to be like one of those situations where you have two boxers in the ring. Mm-hmm. One is kind of holding on. And I'm not trying to say that in any sort of disrespectful way at all. That's not what I'm saying here. But you guys have endured so much injury-wise this year that most teams would have like kind of folded up shop and, yeah, okay, cool. We're on to next year. See you guys. Like, that's just – but Kyle has done a fantastic job. Robert Saleh has done a fantastic job keeping this team going to the point where you guys are. But then it's the point of, okay, yes, you beat a bad Philadelphia Eagles team. Me and Jason, you again talked about how bad that team is. Like you just said, their defense wants to be what Seattle's is, and they're not. And that's where I feel like you're going into a situation, and this is something I will say, and 49ers fans may not take it legitimately, but Seattle Seahawks fans haven't really had a home playoff game since 2016. Mm-hmm. That was the last true home playoff game in Seattle because we had the one of the year of COVID and no fans were allowed in the stands. You have a re-energized fan base coming out of the Pete Carroll era with a defense that is flying. And you guys know as well as I do, when Seattle has a defense like they currently have and can run the football, they are a scary team to go into Lumen Field and play. I think it's a situation where for Seattle, they're going to have to endure the first half. You're going to have to deal with a 49ers team and an experienced coaching staff that is going to come out and they're going to test you. That is where you have to be able to make your adjustments and also not get into a panic mode situation. Clint Kubiak can't panic if things aren't going well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried
Yes,
about
he
Mike
can.
McDonald in that situation. Well, yeah,
Yes, he
okay,
can.
fair enough, Jason. I know you're going to say he can panic all he wants, but if they can avoid those things, I think it'll just be a duration of a very physical game. We know it's going to be physical. These teams don't like each other. It's starting to get back to that old rivalry. But the depth, and if injuries happen, if you do lose Ricky Pearsall again, if you potentially lose a Kyle Juszczyk at any point in that game, I think it can just completely erode your guys' what you're trying to do offensively and even defensively at points.
Perfect. Jason Aponte, I'll let you close it. The San Francisco 49ers will win because
they will win the toss, defer, score going into the half, score coming out of the half. And that's going to be the way that they swing this one. The 49ers, and I kind of disagree with Bryce on this. The 49ers are going to have to take the first punch. Seattle's going to throw the first punch. That crowd's going to be ready to go. They're going to score a touchdown. They make it 7-0, right? Kyle's going to get into it. He's going to start seeing some things because there was some stuff on there when you watch the film of guys being open, but the front four and the front five, they're having a tough time blocking, and it's not allowing it to develop, right? I have a lot of respect for Seattle's defense. This ain't the 86 Bears. I want to just be respectful when I say that. That's all. Meaning, they're not like going to be shutting people out, right? The plays are going to be there to make. You have to execute. You have to execute. But I do think if the 49ers are able to double dip and take a little air out of that crowd, right? In going into half, and then they get the ball back and then they do it again. That's when the panic sets in with Kubiak. That's when everything starts to be playing it a lot closer to the vest. And why a lot of people believe that they don't want Sam Darnold at times to throw the football. Like you said, I think Kubiak gets scared sometimes of the fact that he's just like, oh my God, at any moment Darnold can start turning the football over. If you can turn that offense into that and things get to run on first, run on second, run on third, okay, we didn't turn the football over, let's punt. I've seen Seattle's offense turn into that. I've seen it, and I saw it against the Rams. To the point where that Rams game that they did win, but in the beginning of that game, they were just once you see one of those throws from Darnold and it either bounces off a defender's chest or you do get the interception, Kubiak starts to go, oh no, like oh no. But I do agree that the 49ers special teams is going to have to make a play. They're either going to have to force a turnover, on special teams. They're either going to have a big drive. But if the 49ers can double dip, score, going into the half, score out of the half, it's going to make things really hairy. And I think the 49ers are more battle-tested as a group that way because they've been to war and they've won playoff games that they've had no business winning. I wasn't talking about last week because that's not a game that they didn't have any business winning. Anybody with eyes knows that the Philadelphia Eagles fucking suck. I'm talking about like Green Bay winning a playoff game when you don't score an offensive touchdown.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like a game like that. Like those types of games when it starts to get fist fight in a phone booth, I'll take my chances with the 49ers in that battle-tested group, even as banged up as they are. Because for once in our entire lives, and it feels like that, the 49ers actually have a good special teams for the first time. They've just been doing it with offense and defense with Kyle Shanahan, and even before that when they were good with Harbaugh. So I think that's how the 49ers find a path to victory in this one.
Perfect. Well, let's get to the predictions. It is divisional round weekend, one of my favorite weekends of the year. I think my favorite weekend of the year has to be championship weekend, though, which we're a week away from. It's two good games. But, hey, we got 4 good games this weekend. We'll start with the opener. The Bills head to Denver to take on the Broncos.
Cannot believe the Jacksonville Jaguars lost that game. Cannot believe.
I think that was the only game I missed last week. So
yeah, I missed that one too.
I picked the Chargers. I was wrong on that.
And you picked the Packers.
No, I picked the Bears.
Oh, I picked the Bears. Yeah.
I picked the Packers to win the Super Bowl before the season started. That
doesn't count though.
Wrong.
Once Micah Parsons,
nobody cares. Nobody cares about what I said at the start of the season.
Stop reminding people.
I'm gonna go with the Bills. There's something about Josh Allen. I think he is the best quarterback remaining. That's no disrespect to Matt Stafford. I just think Josh Allen, this is his year to do it. Obviously, no Mahomes, no Burrow, and obviously that has nothing to do with this game. I just don't know if Denver's offense can keep up. And I know Denver's defense is very, very talented. The stat of what was it? Bo Nix is 1-8 in games where opponents score more than 17 points. Buffalo's going to score more than 17, and it's whether or not Nix and the offense can keep with Josh Allen and the Bills. I just don't see that happening. I'm going to take Buffalo. Bryce.
I'm going with Buffalo. You get quarterbacks like an elite franchise quarterback, like a Josh Allen, that can win you games when your defense and is struggling. And I look at him and I just go, yeah, he's kind of Superman right now in a lot of ways for that Bills offense. It's him and James Cook, really, because let's be honest, he doesn't exactly have the best complement of receivers to throw the ball to.
Oh my God.
I just look at it and I go, if we're talking about this game being close, which I think it will be, and if one of those two quarterbacks has to have the ball last, I'm terrified if that is Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
I got Denver. And Bryce, you hit on it. You think the 49ers are banged up with their weapons? Look at that receiving depth chart for the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, hold on. I forgot to mention Brandon Cooks. Cooks is playing out of his mind.
Brandon Cooks, Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman are going to be the guys that they're going to go to war with. Shavers 100%. Tore his ACL. Gabe Davis tore his leg up. Superman has a cape. But my God, man, that Denver defense is so good on the outside. Unless they can just keep throwing the ball at Riley Moss and just keep getting pass interference after pass interference on him, because that's what he's good for. I'll tell you this. If the Bills win this, if Josh Allen wins this game, because if they win, it's Josh Allen. If Josh Allen wins this game, that's it. They're gonna make the Super Bowl. And Andrew and I talked about it. I thought whoever won the Jacksonville Bills game was gonna go to the Super Bowl, but I thought it was gonna be Jacksonville because of like how well they were playing. But my God, man, that depth chart. I mean, the 49ers are down to DeMarcus Robinson and Juwan Jennings and Kendrick Bourne. But holy hell, man, that Bills that Bills pass catching group is bad, man. And I got to go with Denver just because their defense is so fucking good, man.
This could look like the Dolphins back with Marino in a way, because you've got James Cook and Brandon Cooks, and it could be like the Cook brothers and Josh Allen take the team to the Super Bowl like it used to be the Clayton brothers and Dan Marino. But yeah, it's going to be a tall task. By the way, another third movie that was bad in a trilogy, Superman 3.
Oh, well, Richard Pryor was in that one, right? That's the one. And then that's the one. That's the one where the machine. You know what? As a kid, that movie scared the shit out of me, because that scene where the machine takes the woman in and she comes back out as a machine, like that movie. Well, you know what? I'll say this. As bad as Superman 3 was, it's no Superman 4 Quest for Peace. I'll tell you that. The guy from the sun. Isn't Superman 3 the one where there's the bad Superman who's just getting drunk oh my God. You know what? After this is done, I have to write my articles about the Saints and Vikings. God help me. I think Superman 3 might go on in the background.
There you go.
It might be a time for a rewatch. Good call, Bryce. Good call.
I like it. I like the trilogy just theme for this episode. I like that.
Oh, and one more thing, because he brought up Dark Knight Rises. That movie has an insane amount of plot holes, including Hines Ward running back a kickoff return.
Yep.
Which that's the one that bothers me the most.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this about Dark Knight Rises. That movie was very much scramble mode because Heath Ledger passed away. Yeah, so maybe I'm willing. And you know what's funny? I know all the plot holes. Bruce Wayne swam from a country in the Middle East into Gotham City, like swam. Like I don't know how else he got there because one, he had no money and they had everything guarded. But I watched that movie. Like if it was on TV like right now, I'd put it on and watch it still. But yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
agree.
I would. Unlike X-Men 3, Last
Oh
Stand.
man, I love this trilogy bit. Like I'm a big movie guy. I don't know if you know Bryce or whatever. So I love the trilogy
And
bit.
two.
Yeah. All right,
Uh,
keep going, Andrew. I'm sorry.
just so you know, it'd be Dark Knight Rises came out in 2012. I don't know if Chris Rainey, the Steelers return man in that season, gets as much views as Heinz Ward returning a kick. I thought maybe it was Alan Rossum, which would make sense. But no, Alan Rossum was not there.
Brett, what is it? Kiesel's in that movie. Mike Wallace is in it. Ben Roethlisberger's in it. They're all on the sideline. They filmed that scene in the Pittsburgh Stadium, and they used them as the Gotham. I want to know. Here's what I want to know: did that Gotham team bring home championships? If not, then we've got to start calling Ben Roethlisberger a fraud because who are they facing over there in Gotham?
Oh man.
Let's move on to Sunday's games. Obviously, we'll save the Niners Seahawks for last. Houston heads to New England to take on the Patriots. I'm so high on Houston right now, man. I love their defense and I love Drake May. I'm a big Drake May guy. It's just this being his second playoff game, a defense as ferocious as this Houston unit. I'm going to take Houston. I know there was a lot of concerns about CJ Stroud's game against Pittsburgh and how he looked, and Houston still put up 30 points. So I'm going to go Houston just because I'm really high on this defense, and I don't know when I'm going to stop picking Houston, maybe until they lose.
Did they put up 30 or I don't know, man.
Not the offense. The Texans as a whole put up 30.
Oh yeah.
And that'll get a job done no matter who you're playing against. So Bryce, who you got in Foxborough?
I'm going New England.
Okay.
And the reason I'm going New England is I like what Mike Vrabel's done there. He's got that team believing again in their abilities to play good football, play tough football. They've got that really good running back tandem of Henderson and Stevenson there, Raymond Stevenson. And Drake May is playing good football too. And he's got a legit weapon in Diggs. He's also got a pretty good route savvy tight end in Hunter Henry. And the dude just makes plays. Like he shakes off D ends and D tackles in the pocket like old school Ben Roethlisberger used to, but he's a little bit more athletic. I think it's going to be close. I really respect that Houston D, but that offense is just so hot and cold. And it's been a lot more cold lately, and it's going to be cold there. I'm going New England.
No Nico Collins in this one.
Yeah.
That is brutal. But Charlie Kirk has got their back. So I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Somebody corrected me, Bryce, in the YouTube comments. They're like, "It's Christian Kirk, not Charlie Kirk." I was like, "No." I was like, so you don't get the bit, right? Like you don't get the joke that Stephen A. Smith is literally saying Charlie Kirk has 7 catches for 3. Whatever. It's New England. I think it's New England too. This is where it ends. Houston's offense, man. CJ Stroud. I don't know what to blame for his regression. I think it's him. I think it's the line. I think it's sometimes the play calling. I think it's the weapons. But I think the way that he was viewed year one and the way that everybody was just like, he's the next one. You jumped the gun a little bit here, and he's falling into game manager status, right? Like he's falling into that. And if he was that guy, then he'd be able to overcome all those things, right? I mean, Josh Allen does it, right? Certain guys like the one of those. When you're one of those ones, you overcome it. Mm-hmm. But he just can't, and I blame a lot of it. But I still I feel like everybody is just like getting away from the fact that it could be his own regression as well too. And I think New England and Vrabel, they're just moving in the right direction. I'd be very shocked that they didn't win this game. This is going to be another one of those slug fest because Houston's defense is fucking incredible, man. Like I don't know how they were able to craft that defense from top to bottom at every single level with just studs, just everywhere studs. Shout out to Aziz Al-Shaair. But like the secondary. Like they got Stingley and Petrie, and like how the hell did you draft all those guys, man? Lassiter, like, and then you bring in one of the most underrated, underappreciated players in the NFL in Daniil Hunter, and you draft Will Anderson. That defense is incredible, and they're going to be incredible for years and years. If that offense ever figures it out, look out for everybody else, man. But without Nico Collins, I just don't see this working. I don't think Woody Marks and Nick Chubb are going to really be able to get anything really going on the ground. So, yeah, I'll go New England.
I guess I'm the only one who is Christian Kirk on this podcast today, but that's okay. Rams versus the Bears in Chicago.
Wow.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you.
Wow.
Rams head to Chicago. It's going to be cold in Chicago. Don't know if you guys know that. It gets cold this time of year in that area of the country.
Wow. We're going to get canceled.
I am a firm believer. that the Bears just aren't going to lose. Listen, I don't think I'm going to pick them until they lose. I'm going to take the Bears in this game. I watched them come back from 21-6 going into the fourth quarter. They were dead. They were dead as a doorknob in that game. And it's just kind of their MO. Maybe the Rams are too good. Maybe the Rams are too good to get away with that. The Rams are better than the Packers, that's for sure. But then it really comes down to a dome team going out to the cold weather. And that's another concern. Can the offense look the same? They weren't perfect last year against Philadelphia in that game where it was windy and cold. I'm gonna ride the wave of the Chicago Bears. So I'm picking the Bears over the Rams.
I'm gonna go Bears over Rams too. I think there's a lot of things in this game that work against the Rams, the weather being one. And yes, the Rams can run the football, but there's something been missing with the Rams since they lost to actually us in week whatever it was there in the Thursday night game when we came back and won. There is something that's been off, and they can say, "Oh, Quentin Lake's back now," and your defense is still giving up points. Like, look what you just gave up to Carolina. Like,
does Quentin Lake play cornerback? I never understood that. Like, our secondary, man.
Sorry, the Rams are missing Ahkello Witherspoon, and that's why they suck now. Remember that. Sorry,
Ahkello Witherspoon went out of that game, and I was like, "Damn it, bad news for the Panthers."
Okay, so I thought the exact same thing. I'm just saying that's what Rams are going to say. They're going to go and be like, "Oh, we don't have Witherspoon." Like that. Like, no, you guys just don't have a good defense right now. They're not playing well together. I also will say this: the cold weather, the fact that Caleb Williams has legs that can be used. That's going to also be a factor in this game. And the Bears can run the football, which, again, Seattle with Kenneth Walker on Thursday night ran the football. Atlanta's run the football. The Panthers have run the football. There have been so many teams that figured out if we run the ball on the Rams struggle to continue to play. And I know they're saying Stafford's finger injury isn't bad, but injury to a throwing hand in cold weather. And I get he played in Detroit. Well, again, Detroit was inside most of the time. I get he had to. I know, but I'm just saying I get it. But to go out as a quarterback and try and throw with a cold, hard football in bad conditions is not easy. It may affect him more than he wants to lead on.
Bears, clean sweep across the board. This is what I had been talking about. Special teams being trash for the Rams. Secondary garbage. Like, I don't want to hear about Quentin Lake. He's a safety. What does that have to do with the fact that Emmanuel Forbes, Ahkello Witherspoon are your cornerbacks? And the Panthers still cook Lake in secondary, in coverage. So I don't want to hear it. What is this idea that Quentin Lake, who is a fine football player, absolutely deserving of the extension. When did he become a game changer to the point that now, even though he doesn't play cornerback, the secondary that has been trash all year and been picked on all year is now all of a sudden good? The Bears, there's something going on. They have no business winning any of these games. Thank God they didn't beat us. And Caleb Williams is one of the most fascinating quarterbacks to evaluate on film. Easy throws, easy reads, everything right there. Nope. Can't make it happen. Fourth and the game on the line, you're running from the wrong direction. I don't understand him. I don't understand him. I can't wrap my head around what I'm supposed to evaluate with this kid.
Okay, so Jason, when he made that throw and like fell back, do you know what immediately went through my head? Do you remember playing NBA Jam as a kid and jumping from the foul line back to center and taking the shot, the fadeaway shot? Yeah. That's exactly what Caleb Williams did. It like gave me NBA Jam like vibes back in the day.
I don't understand how a quarterback at times can look so inept with simple things that are there, but if you give him a shot with the game on the line and he's out of the pocket, he's more dangerous. And I think those are the quarterbacks that are the scariest. Because it's annoying. You can do everything right all game. Crack the door open, though. Give him a little shot. And he completes that pass to Romo Lunze. The play design on that DJ Moore touchdown was absolutely chef's kiss. Also, by the way, Ben Johnson. You may be a nut job who is like taking his shirt off after the game and all that stuff. But my God, to set up that screen, right, that you have there, show it, run it, show it, and then just have DJ Moore go down the field and have an easy pitch and catch touchdown, man. That is high-level shit right there, man. And that's why the Bears are going to be in good standing. Also, Colston Loveland is going to give the Rams hell.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready yet to say that they made the right choice of him and Tyler Warren. But my God, does it fucking look good right now? Oh my God, does it look good right now? It certainly does, man. I think Tyler Warren's incredible too, but I got to see him with a quarterback. But man, Colston Loveland is figuring it out. And, if you thought that Johnson was able to do things with Laporta, man, what they're about to do with Loveland for years to come, man, it's pretty crazy, man. So yeah, give me the Bears. The Bears.
Well, what's really funny about the Ben Johnson thing is his whole thing with Matt LaFleur. He has a chance. Think about this path for the playoffs: beat Matt LaFleur, beat Sean McVay, beat Kyle Shanahan, and then beat the extended DeMeco Ryans in the Super Bowl. That would be pretty funny with all the stuff he's caused with the Shanahan tree to run through one postseason. Obviously, on the table, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Then we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. But very funny with how much shit he started with the LaFleur and that whole situation.
And one more thing real quick, Andrew. One more thing. LaFleur, McVay, Shanahan. I don't know. I think I know what it is. But all three of them with time management, it's like the cuckoo clock that it just like do like they just don't not one of those three guys understands what proper time management is.
Yeah.
Yes, the 49ers beat the Eagles, but they burned 4 fucking timeouts for no reason in that game. Part of it is because Kendrick Bourne's a TikToker and not a wide receiver, right? Like I'll say that. But LaFleur, like, the same thing, too, man. Like, and then McVay, the same. That Carolina game, I'm watching it. I'm like, what are you think? Like, and I think the reason that they are like that is because they're so locked in and dialed in on play calling that the little stuff is, like, eluding them. They need a time management. This is what they need to add. All three of them need to add to their coaching staff. A time management guru, a guy who understands nothing but not play calling, not X's and O's, but he understands time management, when to use timeouts, when not to use timeouts, and he should be in charge of all those things, man, because for those three, as brilliant as they are, and it's the same tree, none of them have a damn idea at times what the hell they're doing with time management, and it's baffling because they're so good at everything else.
Gotta get them on Madden more often, just to run simulations. Like I think that's the best way to do it.
Run 4 verts on 4th and 8 or whatever. Like Kevin Patullo.
Hey, doesn't have a job anymore.
Real quick, and this is because it's Friday. Real quick, because I kind of got off the Eagles. Real quick, Mike Silver came out with a really nice report today.
Yeah.
I trust Mike Silver, by the way.
Yeah.
And especially when it pushes my narrative, I trust him. People in that building are upset with Jalen Hurts. I wonder why. Could it be, perhaps, that the DoorDasher has been exposed? Could it be, perhaps, that he's not a real NFL quarterback?
Maybe.
I'm just saying. You want to blame A.J. Brown, who asked for a trade, I think 3 times, they said, and each time the Eagles said no. By the way, the New Orleans Saints should absolutely call them and try to make a trade for him. I think that's a beautiful spot for him because then he can go back with Kellen Moore. My piece later on Saints Roundtable about that. But the little whispers, and Bryce, the reason I want to bring this up is because the whispers are starting to come out about Jalen Hurts, and it feels like what was happening with Russell Wilson.
I've said for a while that Jalen Hurts was the B+ Temu version of Russell. And
Walmart Russell Wilson.
DoorDasher Russell Wilson.
DoorDasher
Russell Wilson.
Danger Witch Russell from the Subway commercials. Don't forget those. But no, it's very similar. And the thing is, again, like when I look at both of those quarterbacks, they all have the same style of play. They can't throw in the middle of the field well. They love the outside numbers throws. They want to prove that they can be the pocket guy and not use their legs at a point because too many people are saying, oh, you run too much. You know, that was Russell's issue. And then Russell wanted it all about himself. And what I find interesting about the Russell side of this, it took him until this year with the Giants to finally change his agent off of Mark Rodgers, who I think totally, in my opinion, if Russell had stayed in Seattle and had just ate humble pie and just been like, yep, I'm a key in this machine. We're going to keep winning. We're going to keep doing things. It would have been fine. But from people I've talked to that are within that building at that time, and I don't know if you guys ever, again, I know you're San Francisco 49ers guys, but the Get Got pod with Marshawn, they did a live show with Doug Ball, Golden Tate, Cliff Averill, Sidney Rice, and Michael Robinson, who was an ex-49er, host that show. And he goes, so what happened after the Super Bowl 49 loss? Was it just the play that devoted everything? And they all kind of looked, and he goes, and then someone in the crowd goes, no, Russell got too big for his bridges and had an attitude problem. And they all kind of looked at each other, and it was this look of, yeah, we're not going to go there right now. But like, Russell did more to damage that Super Bowl team and the opportunity for a chance to go again than most people realize. And it wasn't just because of the money. It was because of his inability to do his job, play his role in that cog, very much to what I think Jalen Hurts is doing in Philadelphia. And you get good players that don't want to play with you anymore because you think you're better than you are.
And if you want more proof, Richard Sherman, who, you know, we're fighting over right now, right? Is he a Seahawks legend?
Custody battle. Guys. I'll do custody battle ladder match tomorrow night.
Oh gosh, he's with you guys. He's got some serious beef still, I think, with John Schneider for cutting him after the Achilles injury. And I also think some things I've heard is I think he's got some beef that KJ Wright was not hired in Seattle as a coach when he interviewed for a linebacker position when Mike McDonald came in last year. And he is on your staff down there with the 49ers.
Possibly future defensive coordinator, KJ Wright. But the thing that I was going to is Richard Sherman is now in the media. And I'm not talking about his podcast. And he covers a Giants game in which he's just slandering Russell Wilson about, like, please just stop playing football. And I love it. I love it. Look, I think 2 things are absolutely true. I think Russell Wilson is a cornball. I think that Russell Wilson has tortured my San Francisco 49ers. I think Russell Wilson's a really good guy who takes care of his family, who is a devoted husband, who's a devoted father. That doesn't make him corny. But I think all those things are true. And then I forget. I think it was it was the Denver game. Remember when Russ was in Denver? He was the quarterback. There was a Thursday night football game. They had a goal-to-goal situation, and it was 4 throws. And the last throw to Devon Veely, if I'm not mistaken, it was Devon Veely, or if it was somebody else. It's one of those fantasy wide receivers that everybody swore was going to break out in that game. And he misses him. and you see this look in his eye. Run the ball, like it's just like PTSD is just all over his face. So yeah, like the whole idea of like that team understanding that like there was way more to it, and I do think that every single one of them, no matter whether they even agree with each other or like each other, all believe that Russell had a lot to do with that.
Oh, he completely did. And even when Pete got fired in Seattle, they had like a going away for Pete party afterwards where like a whole bunch of ex-Seahawks and players came in, flew in, they had this big event. And someone was there and they basically said that there's a photo of Pete and Russell and Sherm together. And apparently the conversation was something along the lines of Sherm said to Pete, "Look what it took for you to get us to be back in a building together."
It's not good.
Because it all started at the end of 2013. The 2013 season for Seattle. They had lost to Atlanta in the playoffs the year before. They were trying to get back. Seattle had a mentality of you're always competing. That was Pete's mantra. And I'm sorry I'm taking this over right now a little bit, but
no, you're good.
Russell threw a pick in training camp practice to Sherm. And it was a horrible pick, apparently. Like, just like a dumb throw. Why would you even do that? And Sherm came back with the ball and shoved it in Russell's chest and said, "You have to be better. Get that weak shit out of here if we're going to win a Super Bowl." And apparently, like, it sent a whole bunch of shockwaves and people like, "Oh my gosh, like you did that to the quarterback, like to Russell." And like, that's where Pete then kind of went up to the guys on defense and we're like, "Hey,
leave him alone.
Leave him alone. Don't be doing that stuff." And Sherman, like Cam and all those guys were like, "Wait, what? Like, you talked to us this whole time about always compete and everyone's got to be better and push each other. And we're not allowed to hold our quarterback accountable?" Like, that completely erodes the system. And that's what Cliff even said on the show with Marshawn, where he's like, the fact that what we had been told and preached by Pete about after that Super Bowl loss wasn't there anymore. And everything, we're going to be a smash mouth, run the football team. And you went away from that. You eroded everything that you stood and preached to us about.
I love this. I mean, the real reason that I love it is because it's the downfall of the team that really hurt me so much. Like, yeah. But I love the inner workings of this because we never know any of these things until later on. And as much as I bash player podcasts and things like that, like I think less players should be in front, especially less active players should be in front of mics. Like I definitely don't want to see you.
Podcast is working well for the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, what happened at Deebo Samuel's podcast? Did they cancel it? Like, it's just because it was terrible. Like, I less player podcasts, but the only way we get to know these things is when these guys are done and they get into media and they start to do all that, because people just forget the dynamics of a team and what goes into that, and managing egos and being a head coach and how hard that is. And I've heard all those things that you said as well too. And again, like, I'm being funny about it being the downfall of the Seahawks because they pissed me off so much and they hurt my feelings so much. But I'd love to hear this about any team. I'd love to hear this about teams that were super close and like to winning Super Bowls and something like, sent them away and broke things off and things like that. I'd love to hear how the Carolina Panthers went 15-1, lost a Super Bowl, and then, after that, nothing else went right. Like after that, right? Like, and I think Cam is the perfect person to do that because he's so good in his space, but he's going to need to tell that story with everyone. Everyone's going to have to give their spot.
So the interesting one, the most interesting part, and I'll finish off on this, is when Marshawn with his podcast said basically, and I'm kind of paraphrasing it here, but essentially said like, I couldn't get through to Russell. I couldn't call one of my teammates without going through his assistant. He's like, I would do anything for my guys, but if I have to go through your assistant to get to you, then we aren't that close. And that's where this whole divide, like when you're able to call up Sidney Rice, who basically his career ended the Super Bowl season, like he was done after that. He still lives in the Seattle area and is still around. And one of the guys they call on to this show with Golden Tate. And let's not forget, there were all those rumors about Golden, fooling around with Russell's wife at the time and all that stuff.
And Percy Harvin beat him up.
Percy Harvin. Yeah, and all that stuff that kind of transpired. But to get Golden Tate back into Seattle on that panel with those guys and Doug Baldwin and all that, like, that's how you know, like, you can really look at that Seattle team and go, there's the Seattle 2013 team, and then there's Russell. And it's very much this divide. Like, Russell became his own thing, and those guys all stuck together. Because you'll see them all at events. Russell, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Russell, because there's always the conversation in Seattle right now on who's the greatest Seahawks quarterback of all time. And everyone throws Russell there because he won the Super Bowl. Yep, he's the greatest quarterback of Seahawks history because he won the Super Bowl. I still won't give him that title. I still give it to Matt Hasselbeck.
Yeah, disrespecting Notre Dame legend Rick Mirer is crazy. Like, in my opinion, like I
one of the best trades in NFL history was having Rick Mirer, him play so bad, and still trading him away and getting a first-round pick back.
Rick Mirer, baby, Notre Dame. I'm sorry. All right, Andrew, let's get this back on the rails. I'm sorry, that was good. One last thing too, I wanted to say. Richard Sherman on his podcast, he recounted the Percy Harvin and Golden Tate, the altercation that happened after you guys beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship game.
Correct.
And Percy Harvin basically told everyone, don't, when they ask you a question, because remember, he was working himself back from the injury.
Yeah.
When they ask you a question about me, don't say anything. Nothing. Right? So they'll ask Doug Baldwin, do you need Percy Harvin? Remember, Percy Harvin is Deebo Samuel before there was Deebo Samuel. Mm-hmm. Literally. That guy. He did everything. I used to destroy people in Madden when he was on Minnesota that last year that Favre was there. Too easy. Underneath, mesh routes, everything. You can't cover him one-on-one. And Percy Harvin told his entire team, guys, when they mention me, just deflect the question. And it's easy. If I hear Percy Harvin say that, when they ask me, do you need Percy Harvin? You can't replace Percy Harvin. You take the Remember the Titans line, cannot replace a Gary Bertier. Like, you can't replace him. We just trying the best that we can with the guys that we have, and we'll ride with the guys that we have. How hard is that? But Golden Tate says, we don't need him. We're fine with the guys we got. And Percy Harvin ran down on Golden Tate and threw him in a garbage can after lumping him up. This is before the Super Bowl. And Richard Sherman said, Percy Harvin is 5'11". But Percy Harvin is 5'11", who is as strong as an ox. And there were linemen trying to stop him from beating up Golden Tate, and he's running through them and pushing through them. That's how strong this young man was. So I love hearing all those stories. I just had to end with that because Sherman was very candid about that. And just saying that, like, yeah, Percy Harvin's 5'11", try him. I dare you. And he was like, just try him. I dare you. Some guys just are, you don't got to be big and tall and strong to be strong. I just loved hearing that story.
That's a good
points. 2 points I'll close it with. I think there's an argument Matt Flynn could be the greatest Seahawks quarterback of all time because he was so bad it set up the Russell Wilson.
I can't believe they signed him to that deal and they still went to Russell.
Yeah. I have the article up. It was 3 years, $26 million.
Yeah. And he got it off a 6-touchdown performance in a game in which they rested everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how you make your money.
My personal favorite Russell Wilson moment. It's got to be when he announced the contract extension with the Seahawks with Sierra because the implications were heavy. All-time Russell Wilson moment.
Hold on, but the best part about that, Andrew, was the follow-up video with Tyler Lockett and DJ Fluker reenacting that sequence of events with
I need you to send me that because I've never seen that.
You've never seen that?
I've never seen that.
I will send you that. That is so good. DJ Fluker plays Sierra.
The implications are just entirely too heavy in that video for it to be a contract extension video.
So good.
I don't. Hey, man, I'm not going to yuck other people's yums. Hey, the 49ers play the Seahawks.
Hold on, real quick, and we'll get to that. Big Brick says Jerry Rice played for the Seahawks and Raiders, but still claims the 49ers forever. Terrell Owens played for the Seattle Seahawks.
Got cut by the Seattle Seahawks.
That is the most disrespectful. So there is a claim to be made that the best the best wide receivers in Seahawks history are Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens, and Terrell Owens didn't even play a down. Just based on the fact that, in my opinion, and this is non-biased because they're my two favorite players of all time, although my opinion of Jerry Rice sinks day after day every time that he gets in front of a microphone or post something on social media. Jerry Rice is the greatest wide receiver who's ever lived, and Terrell Owens is the second greatest wide receiver who's ever played the game, over Randy Moss, and they're both my two favorite players who have ever played the game. So, but yeah, I think that's pretty scary that they both played for you guys. Jerry Rice has caught regular season touchdowns for the Seattle Seahawks. That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense to me. I can't even wrap my head around it. Jerry Rice went on to play for the Broncos after that.
Yep. But the funny thing was he got Steve Largent to let him have number 80 because 80 is retired for Steve Largent. By the way, there's another Seahawk legend that we're all missing here that has ties to the 49ers as well, and that's Carlos Hyde.
Oh, my God. Guapo.
And Julian Peterson. Just
Julian Peterson.
Not a Niners Seahawk player, but I don't know why. It's been a thing I've done for years now. But anytime I think of a Seahawks receiver, the first name that comes to my head every time for some reason is TJ Houshmandzadeh. I don't know why. He was there for one season, but he's for some reason the first Seahawks receiver I think of. Don't know why.
I mean, that's a deep cut.
I like the silence. I feel like the silence was the perfect way to address that. I have no better way to address that there.
And then look, and we're just before we get to the predictions, I think you guys know where we're all leaning here with our predictions and everything. That game, if I'm not mistaken, the Sharpie game is the first game between Seattle and San Francisco when the realignment happened.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I think it was.
It is. It was 2002 because we had just gotten
Monday night game?
Yes, Monday Night Football. Yep. But that was just after, because ironically enough, and a lot of people don't know this, when Seattle came into the NFL in 1976, they were in the NFC originally.
I did not know that.
Then the year after that, they went to the AFC after that initial season of them playing, and were in the AFC up until the realignment when Houston Texans came into the league.
Yeah. Warren Moon was a Seattle Seahawks quarterback.
He was.
I like this game, man. Because it makes me use my brain.
Trent Dilfer was a 49er at one point too.
Bryce, has anybody ever told you that you kind of look like Trent Dilfer just a little bit?
Hey, he's got a Super Bowl.
He's not a bad-looking guy. It's not a disrespect at all.
If I remember correctly, they unretired John Brody's 12 for Trent Dilfer. Is that something I'm making up?
In Seattle?
No, in San Francisco.
For us, yeah.
They unretired a number for 1 year of Trent Dilfer?
Yeah.
God,
that was a smooth move. I totally would have done it too for a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Trent Dilfer, Jalen Hurts, just better looking guy. All right.
One last one. Ricky Waters.
Ricky Waters is such a good one. Oh, my God, man. That 94 team, that 94 49ers team, I will take them and I will put them against anybody. I will line them up against anybody, and I will feel great about my chances. As a kid, and God, I'm making myself sound old. Maybe this is why I have the 2 herniated discs and a tear in my back, because I'm 41. But my God, I remember as a kid when I'm watching ESPN and it comes across the screen, because remember, there's no Adam Schefter tweet, there's no Schefter bomb. Deion Sanders is signed with the San Francisco 49ers. I looked at my dad and I said, oh my God, we're gonna win the Super Bowl. I was like, finally, it's done. They're gonna beat Dallas, and it's over with. Funny enough, that game happened, I think, if I'm not mistaken, either yesterday or today is the anniversary of that. But Deion Sanders, Tim McDonald, Merton Hanks, Eric Davis, that's your secondary. Ken Norton, Dana Stubblefield, Ricky Waters, Steve Young, Jerry Rice. Like John Taylor, Jesus Christ, man! Brent Jones. How do you defend that team altogether. Mike Shanahan, the play caller, man, I will take that 94 team. I don't care who it is, and I will feel great about my chances with that 94 team.
There's also one other Seahawk legend receiver that finished his career in San Francisco. Darryl Jackson.
Oh my God!
I'm looking at the list right now. Braylon Edwards, both a Niner and a Seahawk.
Yep.
Christ. Yeah. Burn the number 17 and never give it to any wide receiver ever as a San Francisco 49er.
Marquise Goodwin.
Played
for us.
I don't have anything bad to say about Marquise Goodwin, man. That's my dog, man. That's my dog, man. He was a good Niner. That's my dog.
Kerry Hyder. How can we
Kerry
Hyder?
Yeah, Kerry Hyder, man.
Potty. Oh, Dion
Mikey
Jordan.
Potty.
That's a good one. Dion Jordan. I'm just running through a list.
Well, Dion Jordan, what? He got drafted by Miami and he kind of bounced around and he ended up on both. I like this real quick. I mean, I don't know. Like, we don't have to keep like Bryce for too much longer, but this is kind of fun.
I'm good. I'm having fun with it.
I'm having fun. Yeah, I'm having a blast. I'm on my listen. I got to write about the Saints and Vikings after this, man. I'm on my third wine. I gotta do something.
Speaking of players that have played for both the Niners and the Seahawks, Sam Darnold will be the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks tomorrow night when the Niners take on the Seahawks
49ers
in the divisional round. You see how I did that? The Seahawks currently 7-point favorites. That's a pretty wide spread. I am going to pick the San Francisco 49ers 14-13, and I'm going to tell you exactly how the game's going to end, guys. I'm going to tell you exactly how the game's going to end. Seahawks are going to have the ball. They're going to be driving down the field. Darnold's going to throw the ball into the end zone towards JSN. Deommodore Lenoir is going to break up the pass. Marcus Siegel is going to make the diving interception to put the game away. We're going to
get our own tip in a playoff game.
They're going to interview Deommodore Lenoir, and he's going to say, that's what happens when you try a sorry receiver like JSN on me. The 49ers head to the championship game. Bryce, who you got?
Well, I think you know where I'm going with this. I've got the Seahawks. I think this game's going to be I'm going 27-17. I'm going to go a 10-point kind of one in that one. I know Jason on our show, my show, I picked a little bit higher score, but I kind of went back, did some number digging, watched some more film. I think it's going to be 27-17, but I think it's going to be close for a lot of this game. And it's going to be, but I will say this is going to happen. Poor Jake Tonjes is going to go up the sideline. And he's going to think he's got a beautiful opportunity, and Purdy's going to lay that ball out.
Oh, I know where you're going.
And Nick Eamon-Warry is going to come flying over and recreate Cam and Vernon Davis all over again. And you're going to just see him lose the ball, and Julian Love will be there and will pick that ball off. And you'll just see Jake Tonjes not get up and just be seeing Nick Eamon-Warry standing over him. And it'll be a reincarnation of that moment. And then you're just going to see Ken Walker do what Beast Mode did so well in the NFC Championship game and run everywhere.
Hey, man! You said Jake Ton just didn't give you cold sweats, but he's on your mind at least. A little small thing.
No, because I know that's who they're not going to send up there because they don't want Juice to die. They need Juice.
Well, I'll say this. It's pretty brave of you to think that Jake Tonjes is going to have the speed to get down the sideline.
I didn't say it was going to be deep down that sideline, Jason. We're talking like 10 yards, man.
It's brave of you. Like, all right, look. 49ers fans have this huge opinion of Jake Tonjes. And I think he's filled in admirably. I think for a guy who has never caught passes before until this season, I think it's a great story.
Yeah.
I'm just not as like, oh, Seattle needs to watch out now. Here comes Jake Tonjes. Like, guys, like, George Kittle's missing. Tonjes will catch passes. The game-breaking stuff, like, it's not there, right? Like, it's just, and I'm not trying to be that much like I'm not trying to be like a Debbie Downer. But there's been like this outcry of like, why isn't Tonjes and Kittle on the field together? And take who off the field? Kyle Juszczyk? Not in your life. Not in your life. Why would you do that? Because, all right, real quick scheme stuff, right? Okay. So 2 tight ends are on the field. Both of them receivers, right? At this point, Tom just can't block. So you know what he's there for. The splits are condensed. You'll have 1 wide receiver out wide. Who is that? And it might be a game that Ricky Pearsall's not playing. What do you think the defense is going to do? Do you think they're shaking in their boots and they're like, oh, shit, man. Tonjes and Kittle are on the field. This isn't Gronkowski and that other guy that I'm not going to name that, did some terrible things. Like, what people really just don't understand is when you want Tonjes and Kittle on the field, you're taking off an impact player and a player who actually impacts this offense and makes the offense go. There's not a day, not any Sunday that I want Jake Tonjes on the field instead of Kyle Juszczyk, unfortunately. And Kyle Juszczyk is a blocker. I think he offers similar catching ability. I think he's just as good as a route runner if you ask him to. So I just want people to understand that, like, when you want these things, and we wanted it in 2020, real quick, Bryce, I'll give you a history lesson. We wanted it in 2020 when the 49ers signed Jordan Reed. That's when we wanted it. Jordan Reed, at that time, who actually had, I think he had, Andrew, and you could look this up, I think he had 7 or 8 touchdowns in that COVID year.
I think he had a pretty good year. Let me look him up.
Now,
quick.
Jordan Reed and George Kittle as a 2 tight end set, that's formidable. But it's not Jake Tonjes and Kittle, man. Like, come on. Tonjes is going to fill in.
4.
He's going to make catches. How many did he have?
4 touchdowns.
Oh, damn, I was nowhere near. Forget it. Don't even listen to me. COVID doesn't matter. That season doesn't count. But it counts because that's the year that Andrew and I started our podcast. We got a at the buzzer donation before I get to my prediction. How do y'all like your chicken wings? Barbecue plain with ranch dressing or blue cheese, buffalo mild or hot? Because the Niners will cook this Saturday. Thank you, Delvin. I'll let you guys go first because I have the worst take when it comes to dressings and all that stuff. So I'll go last.
I just like boring barbecue sauce on mine. Boneless. Gets too messy with the beard, man.
Boneless?
Boneless. Gets too messy with the beard. Just plain and simple.
Well, that makes sense.
I'm not a sauce guy either, but I love hot sauce and hot wings. That's my go-to. And I'll say this. I am less of the drumstick type of guy with the chicken wings. I like the actual wing piece where you can actually pull the whole piece.
Flats,
it's perfect.
You like flats?
I love flats, man.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got the worst takes when it comes to wings.
Just don't say salt and pepper, man.
No, stop. I like lemon pepper. Lemon pepper's good. I'm good like with all those things. Like I like different dry rubs. Pause. Drums are better than flats. Drums. There's more meat on the bone. Pause. It's better. It's better that way. But I don't like blue cheese, ranch.
Oh, I like ranch.
None of that. None of that.
Gross.
Ranch is disgusting. It smells awful. No.
You're not getting ranch at the right places, buddy.
No.
Doesn't matter how you want to do it. Ranch is gross.
Thank you, Bryce. No on ranch. No on blue cheese.
Ranch lover here.
Hot sauce only. I can do mild, but hot sauce on the wings. But don't put if even a little bit of like ranch or blue cheese touches
ruins it.
Take the wing away. Take it away. It away. I will sacrifice the wing and someone else can have it. But drums over flats. I'm a big drums over flats guy, and I feel that way too about turkey. I like the drumstick. Same thing. Like I'm very much a dark meat connoisseur when it comes to that.
With you there.
All right. Prediction for the game. The San Francisco 49ers are going to win 21-17 in this game. And 14 of those points are going to come going into the half and coming out of the half. Where the other 7 will come is when the 49ers got to have it down the stretch, and they're going to find a way. Bryce asked me a really good question, and I loved he has this segment on his show. And Andrew, we got to start stealing. The NFL is a stealing league. It's a copycat league. We got to start stealing. It's called 2-minute drill, and you ask the question, fire. You fire the question. You don't have you can't be like go, right? Like you don't have time. Like you have 2 minutes to get through the questions, and you have to hit them all. He asked me, who do you trust down the stretch at the end of the game if there is one more drive that's left? Do you trust Mike McDonald? Do you trust Kyle Shanahan? Mm-hmm. And I trust Kyle Shanahan down the stretch with this team. What they've been doing all season, leading the league in late game success rate, leading the league at times when it comes down to those, like even going back to that Cleveland game, because Cleveland has a very good defense, going down the field right before the half to score the touchdown, letting Cleveland know, okay, we let you hang around, no more. This game's over. That's not going to happen in Seattle. But the late game play calling, the late game way that the 49ers have been moving the football, and I know that this is the tallest task. The second tallest, well, there's the second tallest task. I'm sorry, Bryce, I just think that Houston's defense is just a little bit better than yours. That's all. And it's not a, it's.
No, it's fair. They've got 2 elite edge rushers. I think that part of their thing's a little bit more higher end than ours, for sure.
And listen, that's not a bad thing at all, right? Like, there's a reason that the both of you guys are playing with a chance to go on to the championship game because of those defenses. But I just trust Kyle at the end of this game. I think that Brock is showing me something this season that I'm more impressed with than I ever was in 2023. Is the Avengers aren't there, right? And he's just finding a way. And what we're forgetting is the real Avenger is Kyle Shanahan. I don't know who leads the Avengers, depending on who you lean on Civil War. Is it Captain America? Is it Iron Man? Is it Nick Fury? I don't know if it's Nick Fury because he doesn't really call the shots. The Avengers are the ones who have to actually go out there and do it. But Kyle Shanahan's the real Avenger. And I think this season he's just been in his bag at the end of games. And he's been able to adjust. And some of that has to do with Kubiak. That's why he's getting so much attention. Kubiak and Saleh are both in between flying to this game tomorrow. All have head coaching interviews. The Steelers just interviewed Kubiak. The Raiders there's a collaborative effort with this offensive staff that I think, yes, Kyle's been doing a great job, but everybody has been putting in their input and doing well. And I do feel like the 49ers hate the way that they looked on national television in Week 18 with those 3 points. And there's something that I'm going off vibes is on their shoulder and that they want to prove. So, shocker. Andrew and I are picking the 49ers to move on. Right now, what's our record, Andrew, picking the 49ers to go? We're 13-5.
13-5 now.
That's not bad.
Hey, we're all 1-1 in Niners Seahawks picks as well.
Yeah, 13-5. 13-5 is not bad. If you were a betting man, and you were just following our advice, and you were just going with us when we picked the 49ers, and you were 13-5, you'd be up.
Yeah.
You'd be up. And by the way, one more betting advice. That spread, I'm absolutely taking the 49ers in that spread. Absolutely. There's
7 feels like a lot.
That's a lot. That's way too much in this game. Seattle could win this game. This could be the last game the 49ers play this season. I am not sitting like I am. If you remember last week, I never thought, not even like the smallest part of me, not even the smallest part of my football brain that's objective, thought the Philadelphia Eagles were going to beat the San Francisco 49ers. Not even a little bit. There was never a day that we did a show and I was like, damn, they've got this and oh no. Never. That's not the case this week. But I am going to stick with the 49ers this week. The 49ers season only ends one of two ways, Andrew Pasquini and Bryce. They either don't make the playoffs or they're in the NFC Championship. Why would that change this season? So I'm going to go with precedent. I'm going to go with Kyle Shanahan. And I'm going to go with a team that right now I feel like is feeling the effects of everybody counting them out every single week. And I think they they are sick of it, and they're going to play with a chip on their shoulder.
I like it. Bryce, we appreciate you joining us for a third time this season. I'm going to miss it. It's been fun talking to you. Maybe we'll just get you on an off-season episode and we'll just name football players. We'll just
that's a good idea.
What if the 49ers tie and they're just like, hey, run it back for a fourth time?
God. Wouldn't that
I don't know how that would.
You know what? No, you know what would be poetic justice is if the 49ers had to play a fifth quarter in this game. Like this game goes to overtime.
Don't put that on me. My heart is not doing the best. You can't sit that long with your back too. You know, like it's just that's unhealthy, Jason. It's unhealthy. Don't do it to us.
Can I ask real quick? And this has been a long podcast, and I'm glad that we got it out. I mean, look, I'm gonna have as much fun with this game, and I'm gonna have as much fun with this podcast because I understand the NFL. I can be as confident as I want. Those guys got to actually line it up and play it, right? Like we say, right? Fans can overlook games and overlook players and overlook games all they want. They don't have to play. So when people blame fans, oh, you were overly confident. Yeah, I'm sorry that I dropped that pass on 3rd and 10, right? Like I'm not out there, right? Okay, but Bryce, I want to ask you, like, what's your method of watching the game? Because I watch alone. I can't watch with anyone because I have my notebook and I have, I write the things that I notice down, especially schematic wise, where I'm just like, oh, that play, I remember that, and I write it down because then I wanna recount it to memory. Because the way that I internalize in my brain is, I watch it on film, I write it down, and when I write it down, it's in my brain, right? But I don't watch games with people because I don't speak for the entire game. I don't say a word. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm being rude or I'm being weird by not speaking. I'm just taking in the information that I could take it in. That's why if you see me on instant reaction screaming and blowing out my mic, is because I've been holding all that shit in for about 3 hours. Yeah. And I'm waiting to let it go. So Bryce, I'm interested to understand your process when you watch the game.
So for me, I'm kind of similar. I have a notepad with me. I'm always jotting things down that I see. My wife's the only one that generally will watch a game with me, and that's mainly because she's one of the very few people I've ever met on this planet that understands the game as well as I do. Her dad was a quarterback in university, so she understands the game at a different level, so we can actually sit and actually have those conversations. But she's also a Raiders fan, so she never gets to enjoy the playoffs, and she knows that all too well. Just had to throw that in there. But I'm generally quiet, but I also like to watch things back. So I'm one of those annoying people that when I see something schematically or cool, I'll pause and I'll want to go back and watch it. Like, so that's where I'm the one thing for me this past time we played you guys, and because of doing the show, I've been in watch parties where I'll like sit there kind of and like I'll say a few things here and there, and people have asked me to like do a watch party while the game's going on. So I do that. I'm doing one tomorrow with fellow podcaster Dan Vians of Seahawks Forever, where we literally
shout out to Dan.
We'll watch the game, and he's got a background as a play-by-play announcer. So he'll call the game, and I'll kind of be the color guy with like, hey, like I saw this. This is what they're doing. We have people watch it and they enjoy it. So that's what I'm doing this Saturday. But normally I'm like you, Jason. I kind of like to be in my coach room and just I have a whole like stack bookshelf with just notebooks of me drawing plays that I've just burned through from watching games over the years.
Real quick too, because I know we got to get out of here, Andrew, and I'll end with this. Pass this message along to Dan, because I saw him on Twitter say that 49er fans were in his comments saying super rude things and being trolls. Nobody takes more shit from 49er fans than us.
I'm aware.
I've had 49ers fans say horrible things about my children. I've had 49ers fans say that they want me to pull up to Levi's to fight.
I've had that.
I want him to understand that that's just a momentary weekly thing. And no matter what it is that we say, whether it's positive or negative about the team, someone is going to say something that is completely out of pocket that they wouldn't say to my face. Also, by the way, like don't let the injured back get you fucked up. Like either, by the way, like don't say some. I'll beat the shit out you with my cane. Like don't be dumb. Okay, like like we keep it football. But I want Dan to not be frustrated by that because that's just a weekly thing. The amount of vitriol that we get from the own fan base that we pander to is crazy. And I just want him to know that, like, I don't know if that makes him feel better, but I just want him to know that, like, I've gotten people that say, like, yo, I'll be at lot 26, come see me or whatever, and you don't want any smoke, bro. I'm not tough, but you're not gonna do shit to me. Ain't nobody gonna do a thing to me, like, so stop it, man. So, like, I just want Dan to know that.
Oh yeah, and it's something we deal with in the Seahawk content creating world right now as well. Like there's certain content creators there that are looked upon as the end all be all, and anyone else that isn't on board with their alignment get bashed by their cult following. So that occurs too, and it sucks, but it is what it is. And Dan does a really good job with his content, and he's very, honest. And, that's one thing I appreciate about, honestly, you guys, Jason, you and Andrew, and like why I love having you guys on mine is the response I get from the people that watch my show about the fact that you guys are honest about your team and you're not just out there to push a narrative. Like you actually are objective and will have those conversations that are good conversations to have when you can actually talk about your team in a football educated mind. Makes it so much better for, I think, the viewers as well as it does for us just having the conversations.
Yeah. Well, and with that, thank you, Andrew. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, you're good. You're good. I didn't expect to go an hour 45, but I'm not going to complain one bit because it was good conversation the whole time.
Yeah, you guys stopped me from having to write something about the Saints and the Vikings. What the hell?
Before you go, Andrew, when we log off, I want to show you that video because I have it queued for you.
Yes. Okay. Beautiful. I'll watch it. I love it. I'm excited. Bryce, tell the people where they can find you before we get out of here.
Yeah. If any 49er fans really want to listen to a guy talk about the Seahawks, you can find me over at the Hawk's Eye podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on YouTube. And during 2 weeks from now, I will be down at Senior Bowl doing draft coverage down there. So if anyone wants to know what's going on at Senior Bowl, come watch the show. We'll talk about
I got credentialed. I got credentialed too, man. I'm just not gonna be able to make that flight, man. I know I can't.
It's not an easy place to get to.
No, it's not. That's the thing. It's like I usually just fly into New Orleans and drive in. Like that's easier for me. And it's cheaper. But I think I'm saving it up because I have something that I kind of want to announce a little bit, closer to the Super Bowl. But I might have something going on in San Francisco around that time, and it has nothing to do with whether the 49ers are in it or not. But 49er fans will be interested to find out like what it is. So I got to get this back right so I can get on that flight for about 5 hours and get over there because there's some stuff going on. But I love going to the Senior Bowl. That's one of my favorite things. Bryce, you got to get to the Combine, man. The Combine is the top of the top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's something I'll think about it after Senior Bowl. There's some of us that are maybe deciding what the credential requirements are for that. So
it's pretty easy. Trust me, man. I'm sure you'll get it. They allowed a guy. Real quick, Andrew. They allowed a guy to get in there and ask Caleb Williams why he was scared to compete with his workouts and everything. Yeah, I think you'll be fine.
Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners, and we'll see you next week.
Go Niners.